Before we dive into today's episode, there's a special offer happening this month I don't want you to miss. If you've considered coaching support but can't possibly fit another meeting into your schedule, my calendar-free accountability package is the answer, including flexible check-ins through a messaging app for on-demand support. This subscription is half off through December 19th with a bonus clarity call to get you started. Book now and lock in the discounted rate for the lifetime of your subscription. Go to positivelyproductive.com/coaching. We've been taught that productivity is about doing more faster, but the kind of productivity that truly sustains us, the kind I teach, is about doing what matters most with clarity and compassion. Your to-do list can absolutely support that kind of productivity, but only if you stop letting it run the show. It's not the boss of you. It's meant to serve you. It's another tool in your productivity toolbox, but tools only work when they're used correctly. You're listening to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zawrotny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a productivity coach certified in positive psychology and stress management. Join me as we explore ways to live a more proactive, positive life with episodes on productivity, self-awareness, mindset, entrepreneur life, habits and systems, simplicity, fun, and more. I understand overwhelm personally as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, wife and mom to kids and cats, and as a caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and today we're talking about one of the most common productivity tools out there, the to-do list. It's supposed to be our helper that brings order to the chaos and acts as a confident director of what we need to get done. But more often than not, it becomes the very thing that overwhelms us. If you've ever sat down with a list that instantly made you feel behind before you even began, you're not alone. It's the source of frustration, guilt, and analysis paralysis for many. For something that's meant to help, the to-do list has an impressive track record of making people feel stuck and stressed. That's why it's one of the most popular topics, not only in my coaching, but in my guesting. I've spoken to groups and on at least 50 podcasts, if not more, over the years, sharing my answer to why your to-do list sabotages you and what to do about it. The answer, in part, is my 4D framework, a reliable, practical method that continues to work so brilliantly for clients and audience alike. But what I've realized through coaching and countless conversations about this is that the real problem starts before that framework ever comes into play. The truth is, most people are working from the wrong to-do list. What's the real problem? What most of us call a to-do list isn't actually that. Often the result of a brain dump. It's more of a jumble of thoughts, ideas, tasks, and obligations all mixed together and tacked on cumulatively without any filter. It's like that painted furniture you find with layer after layer of paint that you don't notice at first until you go to strip it down. And I get it. It's what we've been taught to do. Write everything down so we don't forget it, keep adding it, and keep going. Use that as a guide. The problem is, a list like that is not a good guide. It doesn't just capture what needs doing. It captures everything you're thinking about doing with no prioritization and without any consideration of where any of those things actually belong in your life, in your schedule. It kind of becomes the junk drawer of task lists, which triggers guilt and overwhelm. When you work from that kind of list, your brain can't distinguish between what's important, what's optional, what's already outdated. There's no distinction between the now and the not now, which is extra problematic for neurodivergent minds, since those are the primary categories they process each day. Have you heard about this concept? That the ADHD brain is challenged with time management because it sees tasks as either now or not now. The executive function of the brain is responsible for the nuances of not now, right? So it's like not now, but soon. So we have to prepare for that. So when that function is missing, as is the case in brains with ADHD, so too does the concept of time and the ability to manage it properly. Needless to say, when your list is a jumble like this, and especially if you can't see those items in terms of priority, every item will look equally urgent and it will feel impossible to choose and therefore to make progress. The key to making a to-do list work for you is to make sure you're working from the right kind of list. It should encourage you that you are likely starting the process the right way. The first step is to clear your head, intentionally and completely, so you have a clear mind for processing and so you don't forget what's important. That is the right first step. Now, I call this a mind sweep based off of David Allen's approach in his framework of getting things done. And it's something I've been teaching my clients for quite some time now. You can find a combination of a guided audio of this mind sweep and a workbook that goes with it for free on the resources page of the positivelyproductive.com website if you'd like to try this. I highly recommend giving it a go because it's one of the most powerful ways to relieve stress and feel focused fast. Some of my clients call it a mindfulness exercise. I'd like you to think of it as decluttering your brain. You're getting everything, and I mean everything, out of your head and onto paper or into a safe space, because it could be a digital environment if that works better for you. It's not about organizing or prioritizing yet. It's about getting it out of your brain. So you want to think of it like emptying that mental junk drawer, or like when you pull contents out of a hall closet, because you are going to get that thing organized once and for all. When you do this, when you pull everything out, a few things happen. You're going to stop relying on your memory to hold it all. If you've ever said the words, "Oh, I'll remember that." How did that work out for you? You will instantly reduce your mental stress and decision fatigue, because now you're not letting things bounce around and worried that you might forget and feel like you can't pay attention or be fully present in what you're doing because you're trying to remember the things. And you can finally see what's been weighing on you. You kind of face the action, and it actually makes it easier to take action on those things. Now, the key here is that you are not doing anything with it yet, but most especially, you are not judging. Whether it's, finally finish that house project or even something as simple as buy new socks, it all belongs there. Everything that you need to do, make those doctor's appointments, I'll tell you, those love to linger on my to-do list because it's something that I dread. That's another explanation for another day as to why we procrastinate, and I do have episodes about that. The point is, all of this needs to come out of your brain into this safe space so that you can make space in your brain for making the next choices. So once that's done, then you can start sorting through all of it and decide what truly deserves your attention. That's where the 4D framework comes in. Before I dig into the framework, I want to point out the key problem here that's been a trap for so many. Think about it. If you stop here with that brain dump and call that your to-do list, you'll have a mess on your hands instead of a properly prioritized guide with next steps. Have you done this? Can you see how that would be a huge trap for you? It's like pulling everything out of that closet, but never actually sorting through it and setting stuff back and donating the rest and finding new homes for other things. That actually makes things worse than before. And so then you feel like this to-do list never worked in the first place. Thankfully, it doesn't have to be that way. And today you will walk away with tactics to avoid it. Consider this. Once you do a mind sweep, you do not have a to-do list. You have a to-choose list. How do you choose? That's where the 4Ds come into play. The 4Ds in my framework are delete, delegate, delay, and do. It's a list I created in a very specific order. You may have heard something similar before, probably the 3 Ds. And I'm sure you've heard do and delegate in all of that. Those are very common ones, but my 4 Ds not only include 4 of them, but they're in a very specific intentional order. They give you a structured way to process your list in the best and most efficient way possible. The order matters, and you'll see why as we go through them. The first D is delete. You start by removing what doesn't belong. In professional organizing, you always declutter first before you organize. And in the case of your to-do list, in the case of your calendar, you do not schedule what you don't intend to do. It's a waste of time and energy. So yeah, this is the decluttering phase. And yes, it could feel a little ruthless because you just took stuff out of your brain. You just collected things from old to-do lists and everything you were thinking of doing. And now you're saying, get rid of it? Yeah, maybe. See, that may be just the key you need to find out what's truly important if you think about it this way. Many of us keep things on our list out of guilt, habit, fear of forgetting. But all that does is dilute your focus and drain your energy. It gets in the way. It's like when you're looking through a drawer and you have too much that you don't use that isn't yours and you can't find the thing you need. The same thing is happening to your to-do list. So even if something's been on your list for forever, or you've been meaning to add it for any number of reasons that feel legit at first to you, you still need to ask yourself, does this still matter to me and my goals? Where did this come from? Did someone else give this to me, or was this my idea? Am I keeping this because I feel obligated, not necessarily because it's meaningful? Here's a quick reminder. A task that's been on your list for months that keeps moving, especially when you rewrite the lists. I know. You rewrite those lists, you start with a fresh one, but you move that old thing over, right? If it's been on your list for months without movement, it might not belong there at all, even if it did at one time. I've got a lot of things in my life that have been like, seemed like a good idea at the time. So it may seem like a good idea at the time, but it's okay to say today that it no longer does. Every unnecessary task you delete is time and energy you take back for what actually matters. The second D is delegate. Once you've cleared the clutter, all the things that really don't need to be on the list, take a closer look at what's left and ask for each of these items, how can this get done? You'll notice I didn't say, how can I do this? And that's on purpose. Asking it that way, in that passive voice. I know, back in the day, they told us, don't write in passive voice, but I'm telling you now, use it because it's going to encourage your mind to look for options and consider others. Delegation isn't just about handing tasks to someone else. It's about recognizing that you don't have to be the one doing everything. And there are many forms of delegation. Of course, there are people, a colleague, a partner, a family member, friend, who can help, paid or volunteer. This kind of delegation is probably the kind you think of first, and it can be very useful. But there's also technology, automation tools, scheduling software, templates. Some tech can actually do the things for you. For example, setting reminder emails from a calendar system. That's a wonderful way for me to touch base with my podcast guests, let them know something is coming up, and actually for my clients too. If there is an event on our calendar and it's coming up, there will be an automated reminder. And it's helpful for both of us, and I didn't have to do a thing because it's automated. Another form of delegation is systems, checklists, and processes that make the task easier each time. It's a cumulative benefit because it's a way to delegate decision-making, which reduces decision fatigue. When you are not deciding how to do something, what order to do something each and every time, you are saving time. Collaboration and bartering can count as delegating as well. It can be a positive energy exchange when you don't have to do it all yourself. You feel like you have a teammate in a way. And you can maybe take over a task that feels impossible to someone else, and they can take over a task that feels impossible to you. We all have strengths, and you'll notice how there are some things you do, it feels like nothing. It is easy peasy, but it feels like hell to someone else, and vice versa. So that's a win-win when you share the demand in a different way. When you shift your mindset from I must do it to it must get done, but how's that going to happen? You open up your mind to creative and efficient ways to make sure that this task gets completed, but it's not necessarily all on you. Now, please note there is a difference between delegating a task or a project so it gets done, or handing back a task someone tried to give to you that maybe they tried to delegate to you and you allowed to be on your to-do list. So that second one actually belongs in the first category we talked about, which is deleting. But either way, in both cases, whether you're giving it back or you are delegating it out, you've removed something from this potential to-do list. The third D is delay. Now, with what's left, take a look at when things need to happen. Not everything is urgent. In fact, very little is. It can feel that way, but we're often trapped in the idea that if we have something on the list, it must be done now. And I think that comes from those old habits of, I don't want to forget about it. But again, you have it on the list here, so you can find ways to remind yourself it does not mean that just because it's there means it has to be done immediately. Delay is about protecting your current focus, that current space in time that you only have a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of space to work with, really, right? So you're consciously choosing what doesn't have to be in that current space, what can actually wait. It's not about procrastination. I mean, maybe you could technically call it that, but really it's about prioritization because you're opening up current space to get things done that fits your capacity. And there's a big difference, and it feels different. Our capacity is often limited by so many things. I mean, the amount of time we can reasonably do something within the time that we have, the amount of energy we have to work with, all of these things impact that. But our lists tend to be far greater than that, right? So we tend to push ahead feeling like we have to do it all at once. Delaying intentionally helps you create that space without removing tasks and without feeling the guilt of not getting to it. Because if you leave it there and you don't get to that task, what do you feel? I didn't get to that. Feeling scattered or stuck? When your mind is full, it's hard to focus on what truly matters. That's where the guided mind sweep comes in. A short mindfulness-style practice designed to help you release mental clutter, reduce stress, and create space for what's next. It's free, easy to do anytime, and listeners tell me it's a game changer for refocusing fast. You can find the guided mind sweep package for free at positivelyproductive.com/PLP sweep. What's wrong with me? Why am I not getting to that? You distract yourself. You feel awful about it. There's no win here by leaving it in that space. Instead, if you intentionally set it to the side and come back to it, you'll feel so much better. So as you look through what's left on your list, ask yourself, does this task align with my current goals or season of life? Like what's happening right now? What needs to be done? Also, what happens if I don't do this right now? And that can be a great way to filter out whether or not it is something that kind of needs to be done immediately or you could take a little longer to do. And this is also where you can go back and ask yourself, can I intentionally park this for review later to decide when it's best? Even making the decision as to when to do it. If it can wait, it can even wait for you to decide when the best time is to do it. Don't use any more resources than you need to right now. Some tasks belong in a not now folder, some a quarterly plan, and some are a someday maybe. By delaying what doesn't need your attention today, you make space for what does, and then you can start to organize those other groups and allow for that freedom in coming up with lots of ideas, but not necessarily putting energy toward them. Setting them aside feels so much better than letting them linger. And I promise you, when you get to them, you're going to be so much more productive. Now, here's a tip. When you delay a task that is more of a not now or soon, create a calendar reminder, a specific date in your calendar or your task management system. So you have a time in which you are going to go back to it. It's not well, we'll get to it when we get to it. And you are allowed to have those that you eventually take a look at. But if you want to be very specific and feel like you're not going to miss it or forget about it, you set yourself a reminder in the calendar. That could be a week, 3 months, 6 months, with a reminder to review it. Now, with the someday maybe, you can incorporate a review of those things in your quarterly or yearly planning. So again, you're not going to lose sight of these things. You just get to set them out of your immediate sight so you can focus on what's important. Now, that was 3 Ds, and now we have the fourth. The fourth is do. Finally, now we take action. But imagine trying to take action 3 Ds ago. It would feel like slogging through the mud, right? And that's probably what you've been dealing with. By the time you reach this D, your list is lighter, clearer, and far more manageable. Everything left truly deserves your attention. It's what you need to dedicate your action to. This is where you focus on not only doing what matters most, but doing it most efficiently. Now you can start applying the classic productivity techniques to this list. As you start to tackle your true to-do list, you can either start with quick wins or tackle high-impact items. Both are great options. The choice is yours, and here's the difference. When you start with the quick wins, that's things that you can do in 2 to 5 minutes, right? Very quick stuff. It feels doable. It's easier. It's a great way to get energized and build momentum. And it's especially good if you're struggling with energy. So it's something that you can quickly check off the list. And when you check those things off the list, you get the dopamine hits. You get the positive reinforcement that feels really good. Like, ooh, look at me, I'm getting stuff done. I'm being productive. That can feel wonderful. And sometimes we need that. Now, when you tackle the high impact tasks, those are the ones that move the needle forward the most. This allows you to topple the big domino over, and you really feel the effects of a big win. Plus, the achievement might have a ripple effect to other things. There's a concept called the one thing, where it's like, what's the one thing I can do that will make other things either easier or possibly moot? It is that big domino. It could make other tasks easier if you do this one thing. An example would be setting up a productivity system, maybe like a task management system. It's more work on the front end. You're front loading your productivity, so there is an effort, but that effort yields rewards. A tip for this: use the 80-20 principle to choose the high impact tasks. The 80-20 principle, otherwise known as the Pareto principle, is a leveraging technique that helps you figure out what's going to get you the furthest, the fastest. When you consider that 20% of what you do, or 20% of what's on this true to-do list, will get you 80% of the way to your goals, 80% of your results. That means you can choose from such a small portion of the list that will get you where you want to go the furthest, the fastest. That's efficiency. I've done episodes on the podcast talking about the 80-20. I feel like I'm obligated to talk about it as a productivity coach because it is one of the best leveraging techniques. So I will definitely put some links in the show notes for you to check those out. So think about your true to-do list. As you can see, the 4Ds framework is a mindset shift and a sorting tool all in one. When you start using it, you're going to notice your lists get shorter and your progress speeds up. You feel less guilt about what you haven't gotten done because you're focused on what you know you need to get done. And you reclaim the mental space you need for creativity and rest, for quality of life. The more often you revisit it, weekly, monthly, really any time your list feels heavy, because just like closets, it's going to get cluttered up again. That happens. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. And over time, you'll even train your brain to think in the 4Ds automatically. You might even find yourself deleting something before it ever gets to the list. And won't that be delightful? We've been taught that productivity is about doing more faster. But the kind of productivity that truly sustains us, the kind I teach, is about doing what matters most with clarity and compassion. Your to-do list can absolutely support that kind of productivity, but only if you stop letting it run the show. It's not the boss of you. It's meant to serve you. It's another tool in your productivity toolbox, but tools only work when they're used correctly. When you clean up your list, delegate wisely, delay strategically, your actual need-to-do list becomes manageable and purposeful. It becomes a reflection of your values instead of your stress. Proactive versus reactive. If your to-do list has been tripping you up, I'm so glad that you joined me today, and I encourage you to start fresh. Begin with the guided mind sweep to get everything out of your head. Then run through that list of the 4 Ds: delete, delegate, delay, and do. And notice how it feels to look at that list and for it to finally make sense. Like, you got this. So if you would like help in getting started with this, again, get the guided mind sweep package for free on positivelyproductive.com/resources. Now that includes the guided audio. You have my voice in your ear, and I will talk you through the guided mind sweep. You have the focus file workbook that has the same details in it and is a place if you'd like to print it out or if you'd like to use a fillable PDF of it, you can do that. And there's also a 4 Ds checklist, so it'll remind you of the 4 Ds we talked about today. And again, that's at positivelyproductive.com/resources. Thank you so much for being with me today, for listening to the Positively Living podcast, and for being such a support. Now go clean out that to-do list, and remember, productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most to you. Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. I hope this episode inspired you, and I encourage you to think about one action you can take based on today's topic. Then share it with me so I can cheer you on. Go to positivelyproductive.com to connect with me, read blog posts, and access links from each episode and download resources.